Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. Sad Friday, everybody. The passing of a titan, somebody that has impacted all of our childhoods and our lives. And it was more impactful to me what happened with losing Peter Cullen than even when I heard about my father passing, my biological father. And with all of that, today is not going to be a video about Peter Cullen. I figure I would address it before we get into the topic that I'd already planned. I had a video I started about 3 years ago about Peter Cullen, and I started working on it, realized it's going to take 20 or 30 hours to make, back shelved it, so it's still got 20 more hours of work, and so I'll be working on that over the next few weeks. But with that, we're going to get into today's topic, but I will pay some tributes in this video to Peter Cullen because he deserves it. Today we're going to be talking about why are Masterpiece Transformers so expensive. And I hear this all the time, and people say they can't collect Masterpiece Transformers because they cost too much, because they are so expensive, and all of that. And there are factors in they are expensive, they are not cheap. And over time, they have gotten more expensive. But I do feel like what we get is, we get value for our money. And I'll talk about that. And we'll be discussing why Masterpiece Transformers are so expensive in 2026. The reasons behind it, coming up.
Do not grieve.
Alright, so the first reason why these are more expensive, Masterpiece is so expensive, is because of the low quantity produced. There's a low quantity produced because the market is not very big for just Masterpiece Transformers. Masterpiece Transformers production is estimated to be around 6,000 units produced per figure. And then when they come out later with like a very small run, like 500, because it's different coloration, all that kind of stuff, then there's reasons why they don't produce this in as high quantities as Hasbro. So that's also part of the reason why Fans X Transbots and them don't get so much flack, because they're not producing anywhere near the quantity that Hasbro's producing. Hasbro production numbers that were shared, and it was actually Star Wars, but you could also extrapolate based on scale where it would go with Transformers. But in 2010, they were saying they were producing 130,000 figures of each Star Wars figure. So you would translate that over to the deluxe scale of Transformers. Nowadays, I don't believe they produce that much. I think the production is lower with Hasbro, but if you look at all of this, they're anywhere from 60 to 800,000 units being produced versus 6,000. So that is a huge difference, a massive difference. Just the quantity alone makes a massive difference in price, because you have to pay for the tooling and all that stuff. Now, I did see where John Warden had gone on record. I believe it was him who was saying that he doesn't understand how third party can produce the figures as cheap as they are producing them. What he was saying was the tooling versus the low quantities. They're aware of third party, but they don't put a dent in Hasbro sales because they're only making such low quantities. He doesn't understand how they can produce low quantity and sell them for the price they're selling them and make a profit. And so that was kind of the whole point he put out there, and it still stands today. Next, I want to talk about is the material being used. Materials make a difference, and die-cast specifically is a situation where I was informed that the cost between die-cast and plastic, the cost themselves, it's not that big of a difference. It is more expensive to use die-cast than to use plastic. But the mold usage, the mold deterioration, and the way you have to create the tooling to hold up to being injected or them using the die-cast, it is a more expensive process, and you get less uses out of the molds if you're using die-cast. So that's how it's explained to me. And since I'm not actually in production, I will take the expert's opinion over mine. But it does make sense. It does sound right. Obviously, you have to heat up the die-cast hotter than you would have to heat up the plastics. That's just, and then over and over and over, continual use. I'm using the diecast. So that is more expensive. Not all companies use diecast, but X-Transbots and Fans Toys do. MMC sometimes to a point. Takara almost never. Speaking of Takara, and I've said this, definitely not a million, but at least a dozen times, that they're the most expensive masterpiece and the cheapest at the same time, because pretty much everything that's relevant that Takara makes gets knocked off. I've only seen one knockoff or KO version of the Missing Link stuff, but pretty much everything that's masterpiece MPG stuff gets knocked off. Definitely a Prime and all that. They do have a few MPG things that I haven't seen get knocked off just yet, but for the most part, I really could see very little difference between the KO Rat Trap and the standard Rat Trap, and we're looking at least half the price to get the KO Rat Trap. That's definitely a worthwhile one. But at the end of the day, side by side, the Takara one, the colors were a little bit nicer than on the KO version. I still like my KOs. Next up, paint. So obviously you have the materials, higher level materials because you're using die cast, higher level of materials because some of the plastic could be better. I mean, I was also told they use about the same plastics, but the paint, when you're painting your figure almost head to toe, it is going to cost mo. That's all there is to it. It's costing more money to paint the thing head to toe. And then, of course, you get the tamper crafts that are put in there. You get all that fun stuff. So, with all of that, the paint is expensive. And I will say that when a figure gets painted well, it blows away a figure that's not painted. It's just all there is to it. There are downsides to paint with scratching. If you scratch the paint, then it starts to look less good and all of that. There are also downsides to paint, usually with the yellers. But I'll say that pretty much every figure that's been painted adequately looks phenomenal on the shelf. And then you have a couple figures that aren't painted next to it and they look out of place. It's just the way it is. It's the way it's kind of always been. But X-Transbots and Fans Toys, side by side, battling out on paint. I don't even know this day and age where Takara is going with their paint apps, but they are doing a pretty good job with, I mean, there was paint all over that Delta Magnus that I had, which I really didn't like gush over the paint because it feels like it's something that's expected at that price point. But yeah, the shine, the gleam, the presentation, the premium look from it being painted, it costs some money. Hasbro doesn't paint their deluxe figures that are $30. $30 coming soon to a Walmart Target near you, right? Next, I'm going to talk about design and complexity. The design of these figures, there's just so many moving parts and moving pieces. That's in itself, it costs more money to develop and design a figure that's going to have 115 parts versus one that's going to have 38. That's just part of reality. And there's more involved in the production process, the assembly process, cost with manufacturing, also the tooling itself. You're going to have more pieces that are getting made. And so when it comes down to all of that, like, the complexity adds a higher part count, adds more to the manufacturing cost. So yeah, it's expensive. Could I say that you have a higher part count in a masterpiece figure, like character to character versus Legends? Most of the time. Some of the stuff that Magic Square did with their Constructicons, I venture to say they have every bit as many parts in their Legends figures as a masterpiece. It's insane. It is insane how many parts and pieces went into those tiny little figures. It takes a long time to transform the Magic Square versions of the Constructicons. As this guy is the most freshest in my head right now, because I did just transform them, and there's a lot to it. I would say it's not the most complex thing Fans Toys has ever come up with. By far, not the most complex. And at the end of the day, I was gonna have a bunch of jokes about how it feels like a fuzz, the X Transbots fuzz transformation, and the truth is, it's still a better transformation than fuzz. At the end of the day, so. But with all that, it's complex. There's a lot to it. I mean, this is a $140 figure. Another expense is distribution, but before I talk about distribution, I just want to showcase this that I've noticed. This is the price of the figure, because I notice it because I have to go get the link and all that for TH Sport the Viewer and all that. But $140. Now, my pricing's messed up in my head because I had to put the $20 deposit down. Then I only paid to like $119 or something. $117 because it's no $119. But if you're to go look at, say, the other place, my backup TF Source, they're wanting $179, $180. So that's $40 more that they're wanting for the same exact figure. So you start getting into distribution, and a lot of people can't kind of get their mind past, well, I can't get it at Walmart or Target, so I don't want to buy it. And well, you're not going to get Masterpiece at Walmart and Target anymore. Distribution was a lot of fun when Hasbro distributed Masterpiece Transformers to Toys R Us, and we could get them on sale, buy one, get one half off, and you could get two $75 figures for $112. And yeah, I am using a calculator right now. So two $75 figures during the buy one, get one half off was $56 each. So that was a fun time. That era is not coming back, and with Hasbro themselves not wanting to distribute Masterpiece, but Takara not really making Masterpiece, it's all the same. And with less and less, fewer and fewer players in the Masterpiece realm, we're seeing prices probably going up even more. But I will say we still get the value for it. So when you look at it, $140 figure that's a Carbot, you can feel the materials, you can see and feel the paint, and I have no idea what this Euclid's going to cost just yet, but when you start looking at that, the Bingo Toys option's $115. So I think that's a great value because we have enough companies willing to compete. We have some affordable options in the Masterpiece. And you say, well, $115 per figures, I'm still out because I'd rather buy figures that are $30 a figure. Well, I understand that too, but at the end of the day, if you want the Masterpiece, the larger scale, the paint, the die cast, and all of that kind of stuff, it is going to cost more. But we have a lot of options and stuff to look forward to in the Masterpiece realm. The good thing about the Masterpiece realm is the fact that not a lot of stuff gets released. It's not like when you start thinking about, say, Hasbro collecting, when a whole wave of 30 figures comes out and there's 4 figures in that wave or 4 in a case show up, that's 120. Well, you're buying a $120 Masterpiece or a $140 Masterpiece. It's about the same price, but you're only getting the 1 figure instead of 4. But you start thinking about it, one thing that was explained to me was collecting a mainline with a whole lot of releases is death by 1,000 cuts. Collecting Masterpiece, you might actually spend less because you buy fewer figures. So many fewer figures. But then again, sometimes the price is just astronomical. We don't know what the price of Hero is yet, but I am curious what you guys think about this topic, about the price. Do you feel like Masterpiece is fair? Do you feel like we get our money's worth, our bang for our buck in collecting Masterpiece? And is it rewarding? Do you feel like when you spent $200, it was a worthwhile $200 purchase? Can you say that with a Hasbro figure these days when this Trypticon is $229 and it originally released $150? Same mold, same everything, slightly different color. That's all I got. Let's have a great weekend, and I'll leave you with a small sample of what I'm working on in another video. Titanium Hanger out.
Wow, those lights are hotter than a Cybertronic laser flare. Every time I look into a monitor, Prime, my circuits sizzle. When are we gonna start busting Decepticons? Your days are numbered now, Decepticons.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Optimus Prime to Autobot fleet. Return to Cybertron. That is my final command. Do not grieve. Soon, I shall be one with the Matrix.